There's a troubling pattern many of us fall into without even realizing it. Every time someone needs help, advice, a shoulder to cry on, or even a scapegoat, you're there. You become their stop, the person they run to when the world isn't working in their favor. While being available for others seems noble on the surface, it can be deeply damaging to your well-being and personal growth. But why do we do it? Why do we constantly place others before ourselves, even when it comes at great cost? In this video, we'll explore why you must stop being everyone's stop, how to recognize unhealthy patterns, and actionable ways to reclaim your energy and purpose. This isn't about becoming selfish. It's about becoming intentional. In life, one of the most liberating realizations is that you don't owe anyone constant access to your time, energy, or emotions. Think about how often you drop everything to accommodate someone else's needs. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what do I get in return? Not in a transactional sense, but in terms of balance, respect, and reciprocity. Often, being stopped to everyone is rooted in a deep-seated fear of rejection. We worry that saying no will make us seem less likable or less worthy. But here's the truth. True relationships are not built on convenience. They're built on mutual respect. People who genuinely care about you will understand when you set boundaries. Consider this. When you allow everyone to lean on you, you teach them to disrespect your limits. You become the person they take for granted. Worse, you risk losing sight of your goals and identity in the process. One of the reasons people fall into the habit of always being available is the illusion of being needed. When someone relies on you, it can feel validating. It feeds your sense of purpose. But ask yourself, is this need genuine or are you being used? There's a difference between helping someone in a time of crisis and being their go-to solution for every minor inconvenience. The latter drains you, leaving little room for your growth or well-being. It's a cycle that benefits everyone but you. Being needed can also trap you in relationships where your worth is tied to your utility. When you stop solving their problems, they stop valuing you. And that's not a relationship. It's dependency disguised as connection. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful tools you have to stop being stopped to everyone. But boundaries often get a bad reputation. People confuse them with barriers, thinking they shut others out. In reality, boundaries create a framework for healthy interaction. When you set clear limits, you're not saying, I don't care about you. You're saying, I care about myself too. It's a declaration of self-worth. Boundaries allow you to protect your time and energy, ensuring you have enough left for the things that truly matter. Start small. Say no to one request this week. Politely decline an invitation that doesn't excite you. Each step reinforces the idea that your time and energy are valuable. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that emotional support doesn't mean absorbing everyone's burdens. It's tempting to be the fixer, the solver, the one who makes everything better. But here's the problem. When you carry someone else's emotional weight, you often neglect your own. True support involves listening, empathizing, and offering guidance, not taking on their pain as your own. Recognize the difference. You can care deeply for someone without sacrificing your peace. If someone constantly leans on you without considering your needs, it's time to reevaluate that relationship. Are you their friend, or are you their emotional crutch? People-pleasing is a dangerous trap. It starts with small compromises and grows into a pattern where your happiness is entirely dependent on others. You say yes when you mean no. You smile when you're hurting. You agree when you disagree. But here's the truth. No matter how much you please others, you'll never satisfy everyone. Someone will always want more. And in the process, you'll lose yourself. The solution isn't to stop caring. It's to care selectively. Focus on pleasing the people and causes that align with your values. Let go of the need to be universally liked. Breaking free from being stopped to everyone requires both mindset shifts and practical actions. Start by reflecting on why you feel compelled to always be available. Is it fear of rejection, a desire for validation, or something else? Next, practice saying no. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you intentional. Finally, surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries. The right relationships will uplift you, not drain you. One of the most misunderstood words in the world of relationships and responsibilities is the word no. It carries a power that many of us are too afraid to wield, fearing it will make us seem selfish or unkind. But in reality, saying no is one of the most self-respecting acts you can commit. It acknowledges your limits and reinforces the idea that your time and energy are not infinite. When you always say yes to others, you are inevitably saying no to yourself, to your growth, to your passions, and even to your peace of mind. Saying no doesn't mean rejecting people. It means redirecting your energy to what aligns with your values. Imagine a life where every yes is deliberate, where each commitment reflects something meaningful to you. It's not just freeing, it's empowering. Yet, many struggle with the guilt associated with turning others down. They feel as if they are failing people, as if their worth depends on their availability. But ask yourself this: if someone cannot respect your no, do they really value your yes? The act of saying no must begin with understanding your priorities. Reflect on what truly matters to you. Is it your family, your career, your health? Once you have clarity on your priorities, every no becomes easier because it's rooted in a purpose. You're not just saying no to someone. You're saying yes to something greater in your life. This clarity transforms what feels like rejection into redirection, a move towards what aligns with your inner goals. Boundaries are the scaffolding of your life, and learning to say no is how you reinforce them. When people continuously push against your boundaries, it's not your job to keep accommodating. It's their responsibility to learn respect. If you always bend, you create an expectation that you're unshakable, that you'll always be there regardless of the cost to yourself. This is not sustainable, nor is it healthy. No one likes confrontation, but saying no doesn't have to lead to conflict. It's all about how you communicate it. A polite yet firm no, accompanied by a brief explanation, can often be enough. For example, "I'd love to help, but I'm currently focused on other commitments," acknowledges their request while asserting your own priorities. The key is to remain calm and consistent, showing that your boundaries are non-negotiable. With time, the power of no will reshape your life. You'll find more energy for what truly matters, fewer feelings of resentment, and an environment filled with people who respect your time and value your presence. You'll discover that saying no doesn't close doors. It opens them, leading you to a life that's intentional, balanced, and deeply fulfilling. The final thought to hold on to is this: every no is an act of self-love. It is a declaration that you value your time, your energy, and your purpose. And when you start valuing yourself, others will follow suit. Stop being afraid of no. Start embracing it as a tool to carve out the life you deserve. Being helpful is often seen as a virtue, but there's a fine line between being genuinely helpful and being overly available. The latter often crosses into territory where others start taking advantage of your kindness. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that being helpful means solving everyone's problems. But true help empowers others rather than enabling dependency. Real help involves guiding people to find their own solutions, not solving everything for them. It's about being a mirror, reflecting their strengths and possibilities, rather than a crutch that prevents them from standing on their own. This distinction is crucial because it ensures that your assistance builds independence rather than reliance. When you carry someone else's burdens entirely, you rob them of the opportunity to grow stronger through their struggles. To redefine helpfulness, you must first examine your motivations. Are you helping because you truly want to, or because you feel obligated? Many people fall into the latter category, driven by guilt or the fear of disappointing others. But obligatory help is rarely effective. It often leads to resentment on your part and a lack of appreciation from the other person. Another important aspect of being truly helpful is recognizing when to step back. Sometimes, the best way to help someone is to let them struggle. Challenges are where growth happens. Weaknesses are where growth happens. By always stepping in to fix things, you may unintentionally prevent them from developing resilience. It's a tough balance to strike, but it's a necessary one if you want to maintain healthy relationships. It's also worth noting that being helpful doesn't always mean saying yes. Sometimes, the most helpful thing you can do is say no, especially if the request will drain you or pull you away from your priorities. A thoughtful no can encourage them to find alternative solutions or resources they hadn't considered before. Finally, being helpful doesn't mean you neglect your own needs. In fact, the more grounded and fulfilled you are, the more effectively you can support others. Prioritize self-care, set clear boundaries, and remember that your time and energy are valuable. Helping others should enhance your life, not deplete it. Redefining helpfulness is about quality, not quantity. It's about making meaningful contributions rather than stretching yourself too thin. When you embrace this approach, you'll find that your efforts are not only more impactful, but also more rewarding. One of the silent killers of emotional and physical well-being is overextension. When you say yes to everyone and everything, you dilute your energy, time, and focus. Overextending yourself may seem noble. After all, helping others is often regarded as selfless, but in reality, it can lead to burnout, frustration, and even a loss of self-identity. To stop being stop for everyone, you must learn the art of conserving your resources and directing them where they truly matter. Overextension often stems from a deep-seated need to be validated or loved. People pleasers, for example, struggle to say no because they fear rejection or disappointing others. This pattern, however, is unsustainable. It forces you to prioritize others' needs over your own, leaving you with little energy for self-care, personal growth, or meaningful pursuits. The irony is that by trying to please everyone, you end up disappointing yourself and, eventually, those you're trying to help because your energy is finite. The key to breaking free from this cycle is to redefine your boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are gates that open and close depending on your capacity and willingness. Setting boundaries starts with understanding your limits and communicating them clearly. For example, if a friend frequently calls you at inconvenient hours, it's okay to let them know that you're unavailable at those times. You can be compassionate while still asserting your needs. Another aspect of managing overextension is recognizing that you're not responsible for solving everyone's problems. While empathy is a beautiful trait, it should not come at the cost of your well-being. Learn to differentiate between genuine calls for help and situations where you're being taken advantage of. Not every battle is yours to fight, and not every request requires your intervention. It's also essential to learn the value of rest and solitude. Overextending yourself often leaves no room for relaxation or introspection. But downtime is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's during these moments of stillness that you recharge and realign with your true priorities. The more rested and centered you are, the more effectively you can contribute to the world around you. Additionally, you must let go of the guilt associated with prioritizing yourself. Many people feel selfish for taking a step back, but the truth is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. By saying no to what drains you, you're saying yes to what fulfills you. Over time, this shift in focus will lead to a more balanced and rewarding life. Lastly, remember that the world will not fall apart if you take a break. Often, we overestimate our importance in other people's lives and underestimate their ability to manage without us. Trust that they will find their way, just as you must find yours. By stepping back, you empower others to step up. Overextending yourself is one of the most subtle yet harmful ways to lose touch with your own needs and priorities. This habit arises from a desire to please, to be seen as helpful, or to avoid the discomfort of saying no. Yet, in trying to be everything for everyone, you often end up being nothing to yourself. Overextension is not sustainable. It erodes your well-being and leaves you feeling drained, unappreciated, and disconnected from your purpose. The root of overextension often lies in fear. Fear of disappointing others, fear of rejection, or fear of conflict. These fears can lead you to take on responsibilities that don't belong to you, leaving little room for your own life's priorities. The problem is compounded when overextension becomes a pattern, one that others come to expect. You become the go-to person for every need, but this constant availability is a fast track to emotional and physical burnout. Setting boundaries is the first step to reclaiming your time and energy. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about protecting your capacity to give meaningfully. For example, instead of saying yes to every request for help, consider whether the task aligns with your priorities and values. Communicate your boundaries clearly and without guilt. A simple, "I'm unable to do this right now," is a powerful way to honor yourself while remaining respectful to others. A crucial element of avoiding overextension is learning to recognize when your involvement isn't necessary. Not every problem needs your solution, and not every request is yours to fulfill. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is step aside and allow others to take responsibility for their own challenges. This doesn't make you less compassionate. It makes you wise. You're giving others the opportunity to grow and learn while preserving your own energy for the battles that truly matter to you. Rest and reflection are vital in overcoming the trap of overextension. When you're constantly giving, you have little time to pause, recharge, and think about your own path. Solitude isn't selfish. It's an essential part of maintaining balance. By carving out time for yourself, you regain clarity about what matters most. Rest is not indulgence. It's preparation for living fully and purposefully. The guilt of saying no is a common hurdle, but it's one you must overcome to thrive. Guilt often stems from the false belief that you're letting people down by prioritizing yourself. The truth is, you can't serve anyone well if you're running on empty. By conserving your energy for the commitments that matter most, you're actually offering a better version of yourself to the people and causes you care about. Finally, recognize that stepping back doesn't mean abandoning others. The world doesn't depend on your constant involvement, and the people around you are often more capable than you think. Trust that they can handle their lives, just as you're learning to handle yours. When you stop overextending yourself, you create space for both you and others to grow. Overextending yourself is a silent thief of joy and peace. When you try to be everything for everyone, you risk losing your sense of identity and purpose. This state of constant giving often stems from a deeply ingrained desire to feel needed or valued. While helping others is noble, doing so at the expense of your own well-being leads to an imbalance that leaves you physically drained